So I was the type of student who actually began his preparation for his exams just days before the exams started. And as a result of that, I just pretty much mugged up a bunch of information, never really understood what I was learning, and just puked it all out on the day of the exam. And as you must have guessed, I got pretty shitty grades throughout my high school life. I had always put off things to the very last moment unless and until the stress got really overwhelming. Like I could see the deadline, I could see that sword hanging over my neck. I just didn't start the activity. I was a serial procrastinator. But that isn't who I am anymore. My name is Jibreal Khan and I've been a software engineer at Fortune 500 companies like Dell Technologies, AMD, Synopsys. Additionally, I've been a top performing student for my bachelor's program and my master's program in one of the toughest disciplines, that is computer engineering. And I was able to do all of this while lifting weights and pursuing martial arts 6 times a week. My goal is to help men quit procrastination and fulfill their potential. I hope that my personal transformation lends some credibility to what I'm about to say next. This isn't going to be one of those cute clickbaity videos where I talk about Pomodoro technique or the 2-minute rule or some hype edits to motivate you, because I don't think those things really work in the long run. Because I've been a procrastinator myself, I've been in the depths of hell, I know what it feels like to want to do something, to have ambitions, dreams, yet be unable to do them. Like your body, your mind refuse to follow your orders. I know, I've been there. And I've tried hundreds of techniques, hundreds of frameworks, and what I've realized is that 99% of the things that you see on the internet, they do not work. In this video, I'm going to actually talk about the 1% of things that did work. And boy, did they flip my life around. And I'm quite confident that if you were to adopt these tools and techniques, they will do wonders for you. But the thing is that these are not quick fixes. These tools and frameworks that I'm going to tell you about, they're not going to fix your life in 2 minutes. You have to make some serious lifestyle changes, but the benefit of that is amazing. I promise you that if you follow through with the advice offered in this video, you are going to look back at this video and know that this video had a big impact on your life. Previously, when I started my day, I just used to do things at random, like based on my impulse and emotion. Pretty much if I felt like it. Like if I felt like reading 10 pages of a particular book that day, I would do it. And if I felt like lying on the couch the entire day and just browsing through social media, I would do it. So the activities that I did throughout my day were primarily governed by my mood and the way that I was feeling in that particular moment. What I realized was that I was living a very unstructured life, completely based on my whims and desires. Like each night I used to think I'm going to do a laundry list of things tomorrow. I'm going to run, I'm going to lift weights, I'm going to read, I'm going to study, I'm going to grow in terms of my career, I'm going to start a side hustle. But as soon as the day began, it's as though someone else took over and I did none of these things. Like I didn't follow through any of the commitments that I had made last night. And I finally had enough of this, living this unstructured life. I decided that I'm going to live my life based on rules and principles. I'm going to have some form of structure to my life. I decided to live my life by a routine. I got a big whiteboard and started listing down all the things that I wanted to do the next day, and I noted down the time and the place where these activities were going to take place. For example, I wanted to work out tomorrow, so I noted that down on my routine, that tomorrow I'm going to work out at 7 a.m. at the gym. And if I wanted to read a book, I would note it down that tomorrow at 5 p.m. I'm going to read 10 pages of this book. The next day something really odd happened. I actually did these activities. I actually completed the activities that I had listed down on the routine. Granted that there wasn't a 100% success rate, but it was something like a 50% success rate, and that beat the hell out of having 0% success rate. So I was pretty excited by what just happened. And I realized that when I have the time and a place for a particular activity noted down, I'm much more likely to do that activity. And this is due to like a number of reasons. Firstly, because your body is psychologically and physically now ready for the task. Like if you have listed down that you're going to hit the gym at 8 a.m., then at 7 a.m. you begin to think about the gym, you begin to think about the shoes that you have to pack, the clothes that you have to pack, the type of workout that you have to do, and your body's like kind of ready to sweat and lift heavy weights. It's as though you are being psychologically and physiologically primed for that particular activity, both consciously in the fact that you're actually picking out clothes and subconsciously in the fact that your body's just ready to lift the weights and ready to sweat. It's ready for action. A routine, a time and a place pretty much gives your body a heads up that, hey, we are going to do this activity at this moment. Just a heads up, be ready for it. But in the absence of a routine, any task can happen at any moment. Like there are 1,000 different possibilities at each moment of time. So your body is not ready for any of them. It's like you can't prepare for 1,000 different things. Your body is not primed for them, and therefore you're much less likely to actually do the activity. You're simply not ready for it. And this sort of mental and physiological preparation makes a profound difference between you procrastinating things and not procrastinating things. If you are psychologically, physically, consciously, and subconsciously ready, you expect an activity to occur at this particular time, then you are much more likely to do that activity and not procrastinate. The second reason why I was able to do a lot of these activities due to a routine was that I did not have to make any more decisions. Like, prior to making a routine, I had to wake up and decide, oh, okay, I'm supposed to do this, and this is along how it should be, this is when it should take place, and these are the pros and cons of doing that thing. All this decision making was quite psychologically taxing. I had to choose between thousands of options, and I have to think about each of these options and weigh them and assess them. And all this thing actually took away from me, that took energy away from me, energy that I could have actually spent doing that particular activity. But ever since I noted down a routine, ever since I had a routine in my life with a fixed time and a fixed place for each of the activities, I no longer had to make these decisions. All I had to look was at the routine. All I had to do was follow a piece of paper that told me exactly what I needed to be doing at that particular moment. And this burden of decision making on the go was removed from my life, and I felt like I had a lot more energy to commit to the actual activities themselves. A routine allows you to skip the entire process of decision making. You can make all these decisions last night. Like, you have already made these decisions. You've already thought through. You've already decided what time and place a particular activity should take place. So now the future you doesn't have to worry about these decisions on the go. He can commit all his cognitive resources, all his physical resources to performing the activity itself. Leave the planning to the past you and leave the action to the future you. Do not burden the future you with decisions. You're going to tax that guy and that guy is not going to perform. Like, I want you to imagine this hypothetical scenario. Like, close your eyes. Let's do this thought experiment. Imagine there are two people. Let's say the first one is Harry and the second one is Jack. So both of them want to reach a particular destination. Let's call this destination Wonderful Life. That is the name of the destination that both these individuals want to reach. So the person one, that is Harry, he does not have a map to this destination. He decides that, you know what, I'm just going to cruise around, I'm just going to wing it, I'm just going to take random turns based on what I feel is right, and I'm going to reach this destination. On the other hand, there is Jack. Now, Jack is prepared. He's like, you know what, I got the map to this destination. I know the route. I know where the shortcuts are. I know where the potholes lie. I know the exact turns I need to make. And I'm going to follow this map precisely and reach my destination. Which one do you think is going to arrive at the destination? Well, the obvious answer is person 2. It's Jack. It's the one with the map. But the truth is that most of us are living our lives like Harry, like person 1, just making decisions on the go, impulsively deciding what to do, what not to do, have no clear map, have no clear path to our destinations. And you just think that you're going to magically reach there sometime in the future, just making random turns out of the hundreds of thousands of turns that you could possibly take. You think you're just going to reach there magically? And this is why a routine is so important. Every single task on the routine signifies the right route that has been taken. It signifies that you've made a right turn, the correct turn each time. And make enough of these correct turns, follow the routine for long enough, and you're going to arrive at a successful destination. But if you do not follow a routine at all, like you have no map, you're just making turns left and right, you're just going to circle round and round. You're going to waste all this fuel, you're going to waste all this energy, yet you are not going to have anything to show for it. Stop living your life without a map. Stop living your life without a routine. And something really interesting happened to me when I actually started sitting down and writing a routine. It's that my priorities became evident to me. I realized that I have such limited time and such limited energy. I can only do maybe 2-3 tasks with my full time and attention in a day. I realized that I cannot be spending my time and energy doing 99 things in a day. Because the truth is, if you pursue like hundreds of things in a day, you're probably not going to be good at any of them. You're not going to make progress at any one of them. You're just going to be average at all of them, and no one remembers average. Average is not valued. Now that this fact was like crystal clear to me that I cannot pursue everything, I cannot win at everything, I cannot be a top tier engineer, I cannot be a top tier entrepreneur, and I cannot be a top tier footballer at the same time, it was time for me to pick my priorities. It was time for me to be very, very specific about my goals. It was time for me to eliminate some activities, and it was time for me to put all my time and attention into very, very specific things. And this will allow you to dissect your own mind, understand your own long-term goals, and lead a life that is in accordance with those goals. Additionally, now when you have this mental clarity about your goals, especially your long-term goals, then you're less likely to procrastinate anything that is on the routine. Like, why would you procrastinate something that is so important to you, that is so specific, that you have visualized completely? You've seen 10 years down the line that how you're going to achieve this thing. When you have this crystal clear picture, you are much less likely to procrastinate a single task. For example, I used to play a lot of football in the past. Like, this was the way that I used to physically exert myself, and I really, really enjoyed it. But the dilemma was that I had time and energy for only one physical activity, and I was kind of confused between, was it going to be football or was it going to be martial arts? I had to put one of them into my routine. I actually sat down, I started dissecting my thoughts more. Why exactly did I want to play football? Well, number one, it was fun and it provides some sort of a social aspect in my life. Those were the reasons why I wanted to play football. It wasn't like I'm going to turn into a pro footballer, or it wasn't like it's going to bring me a lot of money. None of that. But with martial arts, I realized that the reason was far more deeper. I had always wanted to be the type of person that is going to be able to protect my family. He's going to be able to protect the loved ones around me. And I want my family to feel safe when they're with me. And that was the underlying reason why I always wanted to pursue martial arts. Now that I had these reasons crystal clear to me, it was absolutely clear that I needed to choose martial arts over playing football. And martial arts got that slot in my routine. And the truth is that a lot of you have to cut down on a lot of other activities in order to truly be successful at a few other activities. And a routine is going to make you make that decision. A routine is going to tell you that you don't have time to pursue all these things, these 50 different things. Pick a few specific ones, and you're going to make much more progress, and you're going to be much more satisfied. Also, now each martial arts session was no longer just me hitting the pads or me hitting the bag or me sparring. No, it was me learning how to defend my family. It was me learning how to protect my family. The goal was now clear to me. The big picture was now clear to me. And this meant that I was very unlikely to skip training. I was very unlikely to procrastinate training. I always showed up with complete dedication and passion, because the other guys was just there to hit pads, have fun, sweat a bit. I was there to learn a skill that would allow me to defend my family and my loved ones. So I had a lot more to gain from that activity. My value system was quite clear to me. And this all stems from you making a routine. If you're someone who's interested in more of these low dopamine kind of videos where we give you more information rather than just entertainment, then consider subscribing to my channel, because I'm going to make many more of such videos. So in the past, I used to have this perfectionist attitude. I either used to go all out on a particular task, or I did none of it. Let's take, for example, me working out or me reading a book. If I was like working out on specific days, I used to go balls to the walls, ass to the grass. Like, I used to train for like 90 minutes, sweat, completely kill the session. And if I was like reading a book and I was really into it, I used to read like 30, 40 pages. I used to finish like chapters in a single day. But what used to happen is that this used to go on for a couple of days. But then I completely used to give up on these activities. It's as though my motivation vanished, so I had like absolutely no desire to do these activities, even like a bit. Like for 3 days I used to work out really intensely, and on the 4th day I used to quit. I was like, nah, just don't want to do it. Nah, if I can't do it at 100% intensity, I'm not going to even move a muscle. And to be honest, this became a vicious cycle in my life with nearly every activity: reading, studying, working out. I used to go at 100% intensity, go for a couple of days, and then I used to stop completely for a couple of days. And at the end, the average I got was a big fat zero. I didn't progress in any of these domains, because once you stop an activity for a couple of days and then try to continue it again, it's like you're starting from ground zero. You're building things back up. So even though I was like building a lot in like 3 days, after that I came back to square one and I had to repeat the process. I was spending all this effort and energy and not reaching anywhere. It is at that moment that I realized that this perfectionist attitude, this binary all or nothing attitude, was leading to me being inconsistent. I had always valued intensity over consistency, and it led to very, very shitty results. I decided to change that. Now I'm going to place consistency higher in my value system. It's going to be placed at a much higher place than intensity. Intensity is going to be secondary and consistency is what I'm going to be chasing. In order for this to happen, I had to adopt two rules. The first rule was that I'm not going to train, I'm not going to study beyond my maximum recovering capabilities. Like previously, if I used to work out a lot or study a lot, I used to feel sore and mentally fatigued the next day because I used to overexert myself, kill myself in that one session, burn out essentially. I decided that I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to have such short horizons. I'm not going to think of my life as one particular day. I'm going to broaden my horizons. I'm going to think my life as a whole. I'm going to think my productivity in terms of a month at least. And that led me to work under my maximum capability, my maximum tolerance. I worked such that I was not too fatigued the next day and the day after and the day after. Like using this rule, I was now able to consistently work 6 days a week. I took just like one day off to recover, and 6 days a week, I set a pace, I set an intensity that I could maintain. And for this particular rule, you have to experiment a bit, like you need to know where your threshold lies. For me, I did a lot of these experiments and I realized that my deep focus cognitive functioning lasted for about 4 to 4.5 hours a day. And if I crossed that, I would feel tired the next day and it would dampen my overall productivity. So I've set this rule in place that I'm not going to do more deep focus work, nothing longer than 4 hours. That's a rule. And I stop at like 4.5 hours. I just stop. I'm like, nope, that's it. We're done. Even though I feel like I can do more, for the sake of consistency, I limit myself to my maximum threshold. And you will need to do a lot of these experiments based on the type of work that you do. This limit could be 5 hours, this limit could be 3 hours. You need to explore and find your threshold and then always operate under this threshold. And this is true for other activities, whether you're a sportsman, athlete, you're lifting weights. Like I have a specific number of sets and reps in mind, or have a certain amount of training period in mind that I know if I cross that, I'm going to feel tired and shitty the next day and I'm not going to be able to make progress the next day. And ever since I made this rule of valuing consistency over intensity, I've been able to break this cycle of doing a lot and then doing nothing, and have actually been able to stack my progress. I've actually been able to develop myself. The second rule came from this realization that you are going to have some shitty days in your life. There are going to be days when you just wake up unmotivated, like you do not feel like moving a finger, lifting a finger. And there are going to be days when you're sick, you have a fever, you have cough, you feel like your body is breaking down. And there are going to be days where you have uninvited guests over, or some calamity, like you crashed your car, or some sort of unpredictable event is going to happen in your life. And on those days, you are particularly vulnerable to procrastination. You are much more likely to skip all your tasks because you had a shitty day and you're out of motivation. And these days are part of life. They are going to happen. They are absolutely going to happen in your life. And they're going to happen when you least expect them. And for these days, you need to have a plan. For these days, I implemented something called the 30% rule. Whenever I feel like I'm having one of these days where I'm just simply not in the mood for any activities because of the shit that's going on in my life. For example, I typically work out for 60 minutes, but some days I wake up and feel like, holy shit, there's no way that I'm going to be able to do a 60-minute workout. On those days, I apply the 30% rule. And as the name suggests, I pretty much reduce the intensity and duration of all the activities that I plan to do on that day up to just 30%. So if I'm working out for 60 minutes, I've scheduled a 60-minute workout, I'm just going to work out for like 20 minutes or less. So now, even though I have this shitty mood and all of this stress, I think 20 minutes is okay. I can bear 20 minutes. It's not that much of a mountain. It's not 60 minutes. And this removes a lot of the barriers between you and the activity, and you're much likely to stay consistent with that activity and not procrastinate. But wake up with a fever, wake up with a shitty mood, wake up with some calamity, wake up with your boss firing you, and then you have to do a particular activity with full-on intensity. You're not going to do that. You're not even going to bother attempting that activity. And this 30% rule was like a big ego hit. Like I had to swallow this pill that, hey man, there are going to be days where you just need to read like 1 page of a book. You can't read 10-20 pages of a book every single day. On those days, on those bad days, apply the 30% rule, put your ego down and consume that 1 page of content and be proud of yourself. You did this under dire circumstances. You actually stayed consistent under tough circumstances. And once I adopted this mindset that, hey, it's not about this particular day, it's not about the intensity, it's about continuing the flow, it's about the consistency. Adopting this 30% rule made it a lot easier to stay consistent on the tough, rough days. If you're someone who is ambitious and wants to really fulfill his potential, but procrastination and bad habits are just pinning you down, then make sure that you click on the link in the description and book a free one-on-one call with me. Perhaps I can help you with that.